heading into week 6 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few running backs I've looked at on the waiver wire this week. The first guy is Devonte Booker of the New York Giants. So in week 5, we saw Saquon Barkley go down with a bad ankle injury. That thing swelled up immediately after he took the sock and obviously his cleat off. And who knows how long he's going to be out. So far, no news has come out on Barkley, but obviously it looked bad. Obviously he got carted off in that ball game in week 5 at the Dallas Cowboys. But Devonte Booker, he put up a good ball game. 16 carries, 42 yards, a touchdown, and 3 catches for 16 yards and a touchdown in relief of Barkley. So right here in week 6, it's a tough matchup, no doubt about it, for the Giants and Devonte Booker versus the Los Angeles Rams coming into town. But right here, if Barkley's going to be out a long time, Devonte Booker, he's definitely a running back. That'll be the number one ad at every position on the waiver wire this week. And in Fab Leagues, even if Barkley is only going to miss a few weeks, I would spend about $20 to $25 of your Fab on Devonte Booker because he's going to be a starting running back. He's a running back that could catch the ball out of the backfield. And obviously, he's their best back behind Barkley, with Wayne Gorman, who left in the offseason to Atlanta. So right here, Devonte Booker, definitely a big ad here. And if Barkley's going to miss multiple weeks, he's a guy you definitely should try to get on most of your rosters if you play in multiple leagues. The next running back to add this week's Kahill Herbert of the Chicago Bears. So Herbert, he had a big workload, including shutting it down in the fourth quarter, trying to kill the clock here for the Chicago Bears. He finished the ball game 18 carries, 75 yards. So it was a 1-2 punch here of him and Damian Williams, which worked pretty good at the Vegas Raiders in week 5 for this Chicago Bear team. So right here, Williams had a touchdown. I know he had a few catches, but Herbert, he's definitely going to be part of this offense. And we know David Montgomery's on IR, going to miss 3 to 5 weeks here. And Herbert, he's going to have a role. Him and Williams probably going to be a 40-60 split, with Williams being the favorite for more carries and goal line work, like I mentioned. But Herbert right now, he's available in 81% of fantasy leagues. And I think he's a viable flex option, especially next week versus the Green Bay Packers. 6 versus Green Bay. He's going to have a role once again. And the Packers, we saw them have trouble in week 5 versus the backfield of the Cincinnati Bengals with P Ryan and Joe Mixon in that one. So I think Herbert could play a good role versus Green Bay. And he's a guy that definitely needs to be added, especially coming off of 18 carries, splitting the backfield with Damian Williams. The next running back I looked at on the wire is Samaji P Ryan of the Cincinnati Bengals. So P Ryan, he had a good ball game in week 4. 11 carries, 59 yards, 4 catches, 24 yards, and a touchdown. So him and Joe Mixon both played in this game, and people thought Mixon was going to be out a while, but he played in the game. And in my opinion, in limited work, Joe Mixon looked pretty good and scored a touchdown. But P Ryan right here, he's still got 15 touches with Mixon active. Maybe Mixon, they were taking it easy with him a little, giving him a light workload. But still, P Ryan's a guy I definitely would look to add on the wire, especially if you're a Mixon owner, because if Mixon does go down, this guy's going to step in and have a big role. And right now, he's available in 72% of fantasy leagues. The next running back I looked at on the wire this week's Alex Collins of the Seattle Seahawks. So I mentioned him as a waiver wire pickup last week, where he was eating into Carson's role in that week 4 ball game. And in week 5 versus the Rams, he had a decent ball game, 15 carries, 47 yards, and added 2 catches for 25 yards. So week 6, I know it's a tough matchup at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who give up the 4th least amount of fantasy points to running backs. But Alex Collins, if he's going to play once again as the starter in this one, he's going to have a good workload. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. Rashard Penny, we know, is banged up. And DJ Dallas and Travis Homer, in my opinion, isn't really a threat to Collins. So as long as Carson's out or even limited, Collins is going to have a role in this offense. And he could carve out a number 2 to flex option in your fantasy leagues, especially with the buys coming up as well. And he's available right now in 63% of fantasy leagues. And the 5th and final running back I looked at on the wire this week's Michael Carter of the New York Jets. So I mentioned Carter as an ad last week, and he had a great ball game week 5 versus the Atlanta Falcons. And right now, he's going to be the starter, in my opinion, and the main back over there over Ty Johnson and Tevin Coleman. So 10 carries, 38 yards, and a touchdown with 3 catches for 20 yards in that ball game versus the Atlanta Falcons. I know the Jets are on bye now in week 6, but after that, you'll have Carter for the rest of the season here the last 10 weeks. So right here, he's available in 46% of fantasy leagues, and he's a starting running back who's produced now the last 2 weeks with double-digit fantasy points in PPR leagues. So that's a few running backs I've looked at heading on the waiver wire heading into week 6 of the fantasy football season.